I'm Major Lisa Carver, 34, and I grew up being the steady one, the older sister who didn't need much attention, who got good grades without drama, and who turned that into a career in Air Force intelligence. For years, I was the safety net. I stayed up finishing my sister's school projects, floated her rent, co-signed her first lease, and picked up the pieces every time her life spun out. But when she sat across from me at her engagement dinner, bragging that her Army Ranger fiancé was a real hero and mocking my little desk job in front of everyone, then watched him freeze at the sight of my unit pin and turn on her instead, I made a choice that changed everything. Have you ever been written off, humiliated, or taken for granted by someone you'd quietly supported for years? If you have, tell me your story in the comments. You're not the only one. Before I dive into what really happened that night, let me know where you're watching from. And if you've ever had to finally stand up for yourself after being pushed too far, tap like and subscribe for more true stories about setting boundaries and reclaiming your worth. What came after that dinner surprised all of us. I grew up being the steady one. The older sister who didn't need much attention, who got good grades without drama, who helped more than I asked for help. Maya was different, loud, charming, always the center of whatever room she walked into. Our parents loved us both, but they worried about her more. I think that's why I started taking care of her early. It felt natural. When she forgot her science project was due, I stayed up with her building a volcano. When she needed gas money in high school, I split my paycheck from the grocery store. When she cried about boyfriends or friend drama, I listened for hours. I didn't mind. She was my sister. I joined the Air Force right out of college, commissioned as a second lieutenant at 23. The ceremony was small, just my parents and Maya. She took pictures and posted them everywhere, telling people her sister was so smart and in the military now. But I could tell she didn't really understand what that meant. To her, it was just another thing I did that made me boring compared to her. I was stationed at Lackland first, then moved around as my career developed. Intelligence work. Long hours. Briefings I couldn't talk about. Deployments that came with 2 weeks' notice. I sent money home when Maya needed help with rent. I co-signed her first apartment lease. When her car died, I helped her buy a used Honda. She'd call me during those years, usually when she needed something. Sometimes just to complain about her job or her latest boyfriend. She never asked much about my work. When I tried to explain, her eyes would glaze over. It sounds so technical, she'd say. I could never do something like that. I made first lieutenant at 25, then captain at 29. Each promotion came with more responsibility, more clearances, more things I couldn't discuss over the phone. My mentor, Colonel Dana Whitmore, pulled me aside after I pinned on 03. "You're doing good work, Carver," she said. "But you need to stop letting people underestimate you. Even family." I didn't know what she meant then. I thought I was just being helpful. Maya moved through jobs like she moved through everything else, quick and restless. She'd work retail for 6 months, then quit to try restaurant management. She'd talk about going back to school, then decide it wasn't worth it. I kept helping when she asked, covering bills when she came up short, lending her money that became gifts because asking for it back felt petty. When I visited home, she'd introduce me to her friends as my sister, the Air Force officer, but always with this little eye roll that said, "She's responsible and boring and not like us." I let it go. That's what I did. I let things go. I was promoted to major at 34. 04. Field grade officer. It meant something in my world, years of work, competitive boards, leadership positions. I called Maya to tell her. "That's cool," she said. "Hey, can I ask you something? I'm short on my deposit for this trip I booked, and I sent her the money." She never said congratulations. The imbalance had always been there, I realized later. I gave time, money, stability, patience. She gave criticism disguised as teasing, assumptions about my life, and stories where I played supporting roles. But she was my sister. And I kept thinking that's just how family worked. Colonel Whitmore saw it differently. We were having coffee after a long briefing, and I mentioned Maya casually, something about helping her move again. "You talk about her like she's your dependent," Whitmore said. "She's my sister. She's also 32 years old." I didn't have an answer for that. Whitmore stirred her coffee, watching me. I had a brother like that. Took me years to realize he didn't need saving. He needed consequences. I thought about that conversation for weeks. But I didn't change anything. Not yet. Maya started dating Eric when I was deployed to Qatar. She sent me pictures him in uniform, flexing at the gym, standing in front of a Ranger battalion sign. Her messages were full of exclamation points. He's a real hero. Special operations. Not like desk work, actual combat. I didn't take the bait. I was happy she was happy. When I got back stateside, she talked about him constantly. How tough his training was. How dangerous his job was. How he understood things regular people couldn't understand. She started using him as a measuring stick for everything, especially me. Eric says people who work in offices don't really get military culture, she mentioned once, casually, like it was just an observation. I'm sure he works very hard, I said. He does. Real missions. Real danger. I let it slide. I was used to her need to feel superior by proximity. If being engaged to a Ranger made her feel important, fine. It didn't cost me anything. Eric himself was polite enough the first time we met. A brief visit, handshakes, small talk. He called me ma'am in that automatic way enlisted soldiers do with officers. I could tell he assumed I was admin or personnel, something safe and bureaucratic. Maya didn't correct him. I didn't bother. She got louder about the distinction as their relationship went on. At family dinners, she'd steer conversations toward Eric's deployments, his training rotations, his real service. Then she'd glance at me with this little smirk. Lisa's important too. Just, different. Our mother would try to smooth it over. Both of you serve. That's what matters. But Maya had found her hierarchy, and she was on top of it. When I was selected for a competitive intelligence role and started preparing for O5 boards, Maya didn't acknowledge it. She was too busy planning her engagement party. I bought her an expensive gift, a set of crystals she'd been eyeing. I also quietly covered part of a vendor deposit when she came up short. You're such a lifesaver, she said. Then, an hour later, Eric says officers like you never see real action. But I'm sure you do important stuff too. I felt something shift in me then. Not anger. Just clarity. I started noticing the pattern. How she only called when she needed something. How every conversation somehow ended with her talking about Eric or herself. How my career, my life, was just background noise to her. I mentioned it to Whitmore during one of our regular check-ins. She's always been like this, I said. I don't know why it's bothering me now. Because you finally have enough distance to see it, Whitmore said. And because you've outgrown the role she needs you to play. I didn't argue with that. Eric proposed on a beach. Maya posted 50 pictures. I sent a congratulatory text and a generous check. She called me 3 days later, breathless and excited. We're having an engagement dinner next month. You have to come. I want you to really meet Eric. See what a real operator is like. The way she said real made my jaw tighten. I'll be there, I said. Great. Oh, and Lisa? Try not to, make it about your job or whatever. This is Eric's night. Well, our night. You know what I mean. I knew exactly what she meant. I didn't realize until later that she'd been trashing me to him for months. Building herself up by tearing me down. Painting me as the boring, overrated sister who thought she was important but really just pushed papers. I should have seen the dinner coming. But I didn't. I really didn't. The dinner was scheduled for 1800 hours at a steakhouse Maya had been talking about for weeks. I came straight from a planning meeting at Randolph, still in service dress. It wasn't ceremonial, I just hadn't had time to change. The moment I walked in, Maya's face pinched. Did you really have to wear that? I didn't have time to go home. Of course you didn't. She looked at Eric, then back at me. Always so busy and important. I ignored the edge in her voice and followed them to the table. Our parents were already seated, looking uncomfortable. They'd learned to navigate Maya's moods, but tonight felt different. Sharper. Eric stood when I approached, polite, his handshake firm. Ma'am. Good to see you again, Eric. Maya jumped in before he could respond. Eric just got back from a training rotation. Fort Benning. Ranger stuff. Intense. Sounds demanding, I said. It is, Maya said, answering for him. Not like sitting in air-conditioned offices. My father cleared his throat. My mother studied her menu. We ordered. Maya controlled the conversation, weaving between wedding plans and Eric's accomplishments. She had a way of making everything sound like a performance, like she was narrating a highlight reel. Eric mostly nodded, occasionally correcting minor details she got wrong. Then she turned to me. So, Lisa, still doing the intel thing? Still doing it. She basically does HR with acronyms, Maya said to Eric, laughing. Like, important, but not, she gestured vaguely. Boots on the ground. I took a sip of water. Something like that. Eric gave me a polite smile, the kind people use when they don't want to engage. He was looking past me, probably ready to move on. Then his eyes caught something on my lapel. His expression changed. Completely. The polite smile dropped. His eyes locked on the unit pin I'd been wearing all day without thinking about it. It was small, subtle, the kind of thing most people wouldn't notice. But Eric noticed. He went very still. Where did you get that? His voice was different now. Quiet. Focused. I glanced down at the pin. I earned it. The color drained from his face. He pushed his chair back slightly, staring at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Maya laughed, confused. What? It's just a pin. Eric, what, Lisa? He cut her off, his voice tight. Stop talking. She blinked. Excuse me. He didn't look at her. His eyes were still on me, on the pin, and something like fear flickered across his face. He stood up slowly, almost uncertain. Do you know who she is? He said to Maya, his voice strained. Maya's face flushed. She's my sister. I know exactly who she is. No. Eric shook his head. You don't. The table went silent. My mother's fork hovered midair. My father's hand tightened on his glass. Maya's voice rose, defensive now. Eric, what are you doing? She's Air Force intel. She's not what? Eric's tone was sharp now, almost angry. You've been telling me she pushes papers. That she doesn't do anything real. She doesn't. Maya's face was red. She sits at a desk. Eric finally looked at her, and the expression on his face was something between disbelief and disappointment. You have no idea what you're talking about. He turned back to me, and his posture shifted. Straighter. Formal. Respectful in a way that felt almost military. Ma'am, I apologize. I didn't realize. He stopped, swallowed. I didn't know. I kept my voice level. It's fine, Eric. It's not fine. He looked back at Maya, and his voice dropped. Do you know what that pin means? Maya's eyes darted between us, her confidence cracking. It's not just anything. He stepped back from the table. I've seen that pin twice. Once on a briefing officer before a classified op. Once on a JSSC liaison I couldn't ask questions about. He looked at me again. I shouldn't even be seeing it here. My mother's hand went to her mouth. Maya stared at me, her expression twisting into something ugly. You're doing this on purpose. I'm not doing anything. You are. Her voice cracked. You're trying to ruin my night. You can't stand that Eric is someone important, so you have to, pull rank? At my engagement dinner. I stayed seated, calm. I didn't say a word, Maya. You didn't have to. She stood now, shaking. You wore that uniform. You wore that stupid pin. You wanted this to happen. That's not true. Yes, it is. She turned to Eric, desperate. Tell her. Tell her she's overreacting. But Eric wasn't looking at her anymore. He was still looking at me, his jaw tight, his hands clenched at his sides. I can't marry someone who disrespects a service member like this, he said quietly. Maya's face went white. What? You've been lying to me. About her. About what she does. I didn't lie. You did. His voice was flat now. And I'm done. He grabbed his jacket and walked out. The restaurant felt too quiet. My parents sat frozen. Maya stood there, trembling, her face a mess of rage and humiliation. Then she turned on me. This is your fault. I stood slowly, picking up my purse. I'm going to go. Of course you are. You got what you wanted. I met her eyes. I didn't want any of this. Liar. I walked past her. My father reached for my arm, but I shook my head. I didn't trust myself to speak. Outside, the air was cool. I sat in my car for a long time, hands on the steering wheel, breathing slowly. My phone buzzed. A text from Maya. I hope you're happy. I deleted it. Then another. You've always been jealous of me. I turned my phone off. I drove home in silence, the weight of the evening settling over me like a fog. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt tired. Maya called the next morning at 0600. I let it go to voicemail. She called again at 07, then 08. By 0900, I had 12 missed calls. I listened to the first voicemail. You need to fix this. Call me back. The second was angrier. I can't believe you. After everything I've done for you. The third was almost incoherent. Eric won't answer my calls. This is your fault. You set this up. You planned this. I deleted them all. I went to work. Sat through briefings. Reviewed intel reports. Stayed late to finish a threat assessment. I kept my phone on silent. When I got home, there were 17 more missed calls. Texts filled my screen. You owe me. Family doesn't do this. You're destroying my life. I sat on my couch, staring at the messages. Part of me wanted to respond, to explain, to make her understand. But the larger part, the part that had been growing for months, knew it wouldn't matter. She didn't want to understand. She wanted me to fix it. To make Eric come back. To restore the version of reality where she was special and I was small. I thought about calling Colonel Whitmore, but I didn't need her advice anymore. I already knew what I had to do. I opened a new message to Maya. I'm not going to engage with this. When you're ready to have a calm conversation, I'm here. But I'm not going to be your target. I sent it. Then I muted her number. 2 days later, my mother called. Honey, Maya is really struggling. I know. She's saying you humiliated her on purpose. I closed my eyes. I didn't, Mom. I believe you. But she's telling the family a different story. She's saying you wore your uniform to intimidate Eric. That you made him leave. That's not what happened. I know. Your father and I were there. But you know how she gets. I did know. Maya had always been good at rewriting history. At making herself the victim. What do you want me to do? I asked. My mother sighed. I don't know. I just hate seeing you two like this. I hate it too. But I can't keep rescuing her from herself. There was a long pause. You're right, my mother said quietly. You're absolutely right. We hung up. The calls from extended families started the next week. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all with the same message. Just apologize. She's your sister. Family is supposed to forgive. I gave them all the same answer. I didn't do anything wrong. Some of them pushed back. Others went quiet. A few surprised me by saying they understood. My uncle, a Navy vet, called me separately. I heard what happened, he said. Your sister's been telling everyone you pulled rank. I didn't. I know. I know what that pin means. Or at least, I know enough to know it's not something you wear for show. I didn't respond. You did the right thing, he said. Setting boundaries. It's hard, but it's right. It doesn't feel right. It never does. But it's necessary. After he hung up, I sat in the silence of my apartment. I thought about all the years of covering for Maya. All the money, the time, the emotional labor. I thought about how I'd convinced myself it was love. Maybe it was. But it was also enabling. Colonel Whitmore had said something once, during a leadership training. You can't protect people from the consequences of their choices. All you can do is make sure your boundaries are clear. I'd nodded at the time, thinking she was talking about subordinates. But she'd been talking about everyone. A week later, Eric sent me a message through LinkedIn. Man, I wanted to apologize again for the dinner. I had no idea who you were, and I should have handled that situation better. Maya and I have ended our engagement. I take full responsibility for not asking the right questions sooner. Thank you for your service. I read it 3 times. Then I responded. No apology necessary. I wish you well. He didn't reply. I didn't expect him to. Maya found out about the message. I don't know how, maybe she still had access to his accounts. She sent me a voicemail that night. So now you're talking to my ex-fiancé? Behind my back? You really can't help yourself, can you? I didn't respond. She showed up at my apartment 2 days later. I saw her car in the lot when I got home from work. She was sitting on the steps, arms crossed, eyes red. I almost turned around. Almost got back in my car and drove somewhere else. But I didn't. I walked up to her. Maya, you can't ignore me forever. I'm not ignoring you. I'm setting boundaries. She laughed bitterly. Boundaries. Right. That's what you call abandoning family. I'm not abandoning you. Yes, you are. She stood up, voice rising. I needed you, and you left me to deal with this alone. You didn't need me. You needed a scapegoat. Her face twisted. How dare you? It's true. You spent months telling Eric I was nothing. You built yourself up by tearing me down. And when he saw the truth, you blamed me. Because it's your fault. I took a breath. I'm going inside now. If you want to have a real conversation, calm, respectful, I'm willing. But I'm not going to stand here and let you scream at me. I walked past her. She grabbed my arm. Please. Her voice broke. Please, Lisa. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. I looked at her hand on my arm. Then at her face. For the first time in weeks, I saw past the anger. She looked scared. Lost. But I also knew that if I gave in now, nothing would change. Let go, I said quietly. She did. I love you, I said. But I can't keep saving you. You need to figure this out on your own. I went inside and locked the door. She stayed on the steps for 20 minutes. I watched from the window. Then she got in her car and left. I didn't hear from her for 3 months. Work became my anchor. I threw myself into the intelligence cycles, the briefings, the operational planning that filled my days and often my nights. My team was preparing for a major exercise with JSOC elements, coordinating assets across multiple theaters. The kind of work that required precision, discretion, and stamina. Colonel Whitmore noticed. You're here late again, she said one evening, finding me in the SCIF at 2200 hours. Just finishing the assessment. It was finished yesterday. I looked up from my screen. She was standing in the doorway, arms crossed, expression knowing. You're allowed to process what happened with your sister, she said. I'm fine. Carver, I've known you for 6 years. You're a lot of things, but fine isn't one of them right now. I sat back in my chair. I don't know what to do with it. The anger. The guilt. Why guilt? Because she's struggling. And I'm the one who could help her, and I'm choosing not to. Whitmore pulled up a chair. You're choosing not to enable her. That's different. Doesn't feel different. It will. Eventually. She paused. You know what the hardest part of leadership is? Watching people fail when you could prevent it. But sometimes they need to fail. It's the only way they learn. She's my sister, not my subordinate. The principle's the same. You can't grow for her. She has to do it herself. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Whitmore stood. Go home. Get some sleep. That's an order. I left at 2300, drove through empty streets and lay in bed staring at the ceiling until 0400. Sleep came in fragments. The next morning, I had an email from my mother. Maya moved back home. She lost her apartment. She's not doing well. I'm not asking you to fix it. I just thought you should know. I read it twice. Felt the familiar pull, the urge to call, to send money, to make it better. But I closed my laptop and got ready for work. 2 weeks later, my father called. She's looking for work, he said. Actually looking. She applied to 6 places this week. That's good. She asked about you. Didn't say much, but she asked if you were okay. Something in my chest loosened slightly. What did you tell her? That you were doing well. That you loved her. That you were waiting for her to be ready. Thanks, Dad. She's growing up, he said. Slowly. But she is. I wanted to believe that. The promotions list came out in April. I'd been selected for Lieutenant Colonel. Oh, 5. The result of years of work, multiple boards, and evaluations that measured everything from technical competence to leadership potential. Colonel Whitmore called me into her office the day the list posted. Congratulations, Carver. Well deserved. Thank you, ma'am. You'll pin on in 6 months. I'm recommending you for the Joint Task Force position. If it goes through, you'll be working directly with SOCOM elements. I felt the weight of it. The responsibility. The trust. I won't let you down. I know you won't. You never have. I told my parents that evening. They were thrilled, proud, full of questions about what it meant. I tried to explain in terms they'd understand. It's a big deal, my father said. It is. Have you told Maya? I hesitated. No. Maybe you should. I didn't answer. That night, I drafted a text to her 3 times. Deleted it 3 times. Finally, I just sent something simple. I made Lieutenant Colonel. Thought you should know. She didn't respond for 2 days. Then, finally, congratulations. Just one word. No emoji, no follow-up. But it was something. I didn't push. Summer came. I moved to a new assignment, started working with teams I'd only interfaced with remotely before. The work was intense, classified, and deeply satisfying. I was good at it. Better than good. I bought a house. Small, but mine. I decorated it slowly, deliberately. No rush. I had a backyard for the first time since leaving home. I planted tomatoes and herbs, things that required patience and care. My mother sent pictures of Maya. She'd gotten a job at a marketing firm. Entry-level, but stable. She'd cut her hair, looked thinner, tired but focused. She's different, my mother wrote. Quieter. More serious. I studied the photos. Tried to see the sister I'd grown up with. The one who needed me. The one I'd protected. She looked like a stranger. In August, my uncle invited me to a family barbecue. I almost declined. Too much risk of drama, too many opinions. But he insisted. Maya will be there, he said. But so will 20 other people. You can handle it. I went. She was in the backyard when I arrived, talking to a cousin. She saw me immediately. Our eyes met across the lawn. She didn't smile, but she didn't look away either. I nodded. She nodded back. We didn't speak for the first hour. I helped my aunt set up tables, talked to cousins I hadn't seen in years, avoided the corner where Maya stood with a small group. Then, around 1700 hours, she walked over. Hey, hey. We stood there, awkward, the space between us full of months of silence. You look good, she said finally. The house thing. Mom told me. Thanks. You too. The job sounds solid. It's okay. Better than before. Silence again. I'm sorry, she said quietly. For all of it. The dinner. The calls. The things I said. I didn't respond immediately. I wanted to make sure I heard her correctly. I was jealous, she continued. I've been jealous of you my whole life. And I hated that, so I turned it into something else. Made you small so I could feel big. Maya, let me finish. She took a breath. Eric breaking up with me was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But it was also the best. Because I had to actually look at myself. At what I'd been doing. And I didn't like what I saw. I felt something crack in my chest. Not breaking. Opening. I'm not asking you to forgive me, she said. Not yet. I know I have to earn that. But I wanted you to know that I see it now. What I did. What you did for me all those years. I see it. I never wanted you to fail, I said. I know. But I needed to. I really did. We stood there as the sun moved lower, casting long shadows across the grass. Around us, family laughed and talked and ate. Normal. Easy. Can we try again? Maya asked. Slowly? I thought about it. Really thought about it. About boundaries and consequences and the difference between helping and enabling. Yes, I said. Slowly. She smiled, tentative and real. Okay. We didn't hug. Didn't make grand promises. We just stood there, two sisters starting over from a place of truth instead of obligation. It was enough. The months that followed weren't perfect. Maya and I rebuilt slowly, carefully, like engineers working on a damaged foundation. We texted occasionally. Short messages. How was your week? Saw this and thought of you. Nothing heavy. She came to my promotion ceremony in October. Stood in the back with our parents, watching as I pinned on Lieutenant Colonel. Afterward, she hugged me. I'm really proud of you, she said. Thank you. I mean it. I know I never said it before, but I am. I always was. I just didn't know how to handle it. I squeezed her shoulder. I know. We went to lunch after, just the two of us. Sat in a small cafe near base and talked like adults. She told me about her work, about the campaigns she was helping develop. She asked about mine, and when I said I couldn't talk about most of it, she nodded. The pin, she said. From the dinner. Can you tell me what it means now? Not really. Is it classified? It's complicated. She smiled. That's very you. What does that mean? You've always been complicated. Deep. I just couldn't see it because I was too busy making everything about me. I sipped my coffee. We were both young. We're both learning. You're being generous. I'm being honest. She looked at me for a long moment. I don't need saving anymore. I want you to know that. I'm figuring it out. I can see that. But I do need my sister. If you're willing. I am. We split the check. She insisted. It was a small thing, but it mattered. Over the next few months, we found a rhythm. Coffee once a month. Phone calls that didn't center on crisis. Conversations where we both talked and both listened. She told me about a guy she was seeing, casual, no pressure, no grand pronouncements. I told her about the frustrations of military bureaucracy, the parts one could share. She never asked for money. When she struggled, she figured it out herself. When she succeeded, she shared it without needing my validation. One evening in December, she called me crying. "What's wrong?" I asked, already tensing. "Nothing. Nothing's wrong. I just got promoted. Team lead. And I wanted to tell you." I smiled. "That's amazing, Maya." "I know. I can't believe it. Me. Leading people. You can do it." "I'm terrified." "That means you care." "That's good." She laughed through tears. "When did you get so wise?" "I'm not. I'm just older." "Well, it works for you." We talked for an hour. About leadership, responsibility, imposter syndrome. Things I'd felt when I first led teams. She listened like I was actually teaching her something. When we hung up, I sat in the silence of my house and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Christmas came. The whole family gathered at our parents' house. Maya and I worked together in the kitchen, chopping vegetables and arguing about seasoning like we had as kids. But different. Easier. Eric's name came up once. Maya mentioned him casually, without bitterness. I saw he got selected for a special assignment. Good for him. You're not angry? I was. For a long time. But he was right. About me. About what I was doing. She looked at me. I wasn't ready to be someone's partner. I was too busy trying to prove I was worth something. You are worth something. I know that now. But I had to learn it myself. That night, after dinner, Maya pulled me aside. "I got you something." She handed me a small box. Inside was a silver bracelet, simple and elegant. "It's not expensive," she said quickly. "But I wanted to get you something real. Something that wasn't about me needing you." I put it on. It's perfect. There's an engraving. I looked closer. On the inside, steady. Strong. Sister. My throat tightened. "Maya. I know we're still figuring this out. But I want you to know I see you now. Really see you." I hugged her. Tight. Real. "I love you," I said. "I love you too." Spring brought new assignments, new challenges. I moved into the Joint Task Force position, working operations that pulled from every branch, every specialty. The work was exactly what I'd trained for: complex, high stakes, demanding excellence. I was good at it. My team respected me. My superiors trusted me. I'd found my place. Maya continued growing. She got her own apartment again, decorated it herself, managed her own life. She dated, but carefully. She invested in friendships. She went to therapy. "It's helping," she told me over coffee in April. I'm learning why I needed so much external validation. Why I made everything a competition. I'm glad. She asked about you. My therapist. About our relationship. What did you tell her? That I almost destroyed it. That I took you for granted. That you had to walk away so I could find myself. I stirred my latte. And she said that sometimes the most loving thing someone can do is refuse to participate in dysfunction. She sounds smart. She is. She also said I need to make amends. Not just apologize, but change my behavior. Show you through actions that I'm different. You already are. But I want to keep being different. I don't want to slip back. You won't. How do you know? Because you're aware of it now. That's half the battle. She smiled. Look at you, being all wise again. In June, I received orders for a temporary deployment. For months, classified location, limited communication. I told Maya over dinner. For months. Maybe less. Depends on the operation. She nodded slowly. Will you be safe? As safe as I can be. That's not reassuring. It's honest. She looked down at her plate. I'm scared for you. I know. But this is what I do. I know that too. She met my eyes. I'm proud of you. I know I said it before, but I need to say it again. What you do matters. And I'm sorry I never saw that. Thank you. Will you write? Even if you can't say where you are. When I can. That's enough. I deployed in July. The work was intense, the hours brutal, the stakes real. But I was exactly where I was supposed to be, doing exactly what I'd trained to do. I sent Maya postcards when I could. Generic landscapes, no locations. Short messages. Thinking of you. Hope you're well. Nothing that could compromise security. She saved everyone. When I returned in October, she was waiting at the airport with our parents. She hugged me so hard I couldn't breathe. I missed you, she said. I missed you too. We drove home together, talking about everything and nothing. She told me about her promotion to senior team lead. About the campaign she'd managed that won an industry award. About the guy she was dating seriously now. His name is Marcus. He's a teacher. Elementary school. That's different from your usual type. I know. That's why I like him. He's stable. Kind. He doesn't need me to be anything other than myself. I'd like to meet him. Really? Really? She smiled. I'd like that too. Thanksgiving was quiet. Small. Just family. Maya and Marcus came. He was exactly as she described, steady, kind, genuinely interested in people. He asked about my work respectfully, didn't push when I deflected. Maya talks about you a lot, he said while we were cleaning up. Good things, I hope. Always. She says you taught her what real strength looks like. I glanced at Maya across the room. She was laughing with our mother, relaxed and present. She taught me some things too, I said. Like what? That boundaries aren't walls. They're bridges. You just have to build them carefully. He nodded. She's working hard on that. I can tell. That night, as everyone was leaving, Maya pulled me aside again. Thank you for giving me another chance. You earned it. I'm going to keep earning it. Every day. I know you will. She hugged me. I love you, Lisa. I love you too. Time moved forward. I continued rising through my career, selected for developmental positions, entrusted with increasingly complex operations. Maya built her own success on her own terms, without needing to measure herself against anyone. We found our balance. Sisters, but also individuals. Connected, but not codependent. One evening in January, almost 2 years after the dinner that changed everything, Maya called me. I'm getting married. To Marcus. Yes. He proposed last night. Small ceremony. Just family. Nothing big. I'm happy for you. I want you to be my maid of honor. If you're willing. I felt emotion rise in my throat. I'd be honored. I mean it. Not because you're supposed to, but because I want you there. Because you're my sister and my friend, and I can't imagine doing this without you. Then I'll be there. The wedding was in May. Small and intimate, held in my parents' backyard. Maya wore a simple dress. Marcus cried during his vows. I stood beside my sister and watched her marry someone who saw her, really saw her, and loved her anyway. During the reception, she found me by the dessert table. Thank you for being here. Where else would I be? I don't know. I just know that a few years ago you wouldn't have been. Because I didn't deserve it. Maya, let me finish. I destroyed our relationship. I was selfish and cruel and blind. And you had every right to walk away completely. But you didn't. You set boundaries and waited. And I'm so grateful you did. I'm your sister. I was always going to wait. But you didn't have to. That's what I'm learning. Love is an obligation. It's choice. And you chose me, even when I didn't deserve it. I hugged her. You're my sister. That's never going to change. I know. But the way we're sisters now is better. Healthier. It is. She pulled back, smiling through tears. Okay, enough crying. This is supposed to be happy. It is happy. And it was. I looked around at the gathering, at my parents laughing with Marcus's family, at cousins I'd reconnected with, at the life Maya had built through her own strength and determination. I thought about the woman I'd been at that dinner 2 years ago. Still giving, still rescuing, still believing that love meant making myself smaller so others could feel bigger. I thought about the pin Eric had recognized. The work I did that most people would never know about. The responsibility I carried quietly, without fanfare. I thought about Colonel Whitmore's words, some people need to believe you're smaller so they can feel bigger. But I wasn't small. I never had been. And Maya didn't need me to be anymore. The sun set slowly over the backyard, casting everything in golden light. Maya danced with Marcus, laughing and radiant. Our mother wiped tears. Our father raised a toast. I stood at the edge of it all, watching, present but peaceful. My phone buzzed. A message from Colonel Whitmore. Heard your sister got married. Congratulations. How are you doing? I typed back, good. Really good. Because I was. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it walks into a dinner party wearing a simple unit pin and lets truth do the work. Sometimes it sets boundaries and waits. Sometimes it looks like two sisters starting over from a place of honesty instead of obligation. Sometimes it looks like forgiveness that's earned, not given. Sometimes it looks like a woman who finally understands that her worth was never defined by how much she gave, but by how steady she remained while others figured out who they were. I finished my champagne and joined the celebration. Not as the rescuer or the protector or the one who made everything okay. Just as Lisa. Major Lisa Carver, soon to be Lieutenant Colonel. Sister. Officer. Friend. Enough. More than enough. Exactly who I was always meant to be. 15 years changes everything and nothing. I'm 49 now, a full colonel with 26 years of service. Oh, 6. The rank I once thought was impossibly distant, reserved for officers who seem to exist in a different stratosphere. But here I am, wearing the eagles on my shoulders like they've always belonged there. My office at the Pentagon overlooks the Potomac. Not a corner office. Those go to the generals, but respectable earned. The walls hold commendations, unit photos, and a single framed picture of my promotion ceremony to Lieutenant Colonel. Maya is in the background of that photo, barely visible, but I know she's there. I'm drinking coffee at 0630 when my assistant knocks. Ma'am, your 0700 is here early. Send them in. Captain Jason Mitchell enters, crisp in his service dress, carrying a folder thick with briefing materials. He's nervous. I can see it in the way he stands, the slight tremor in his hands. This is his first solo brief to a senior officer. Relax, Captain, I say. I don't bite before 0800. He smiles, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. Thank you, ma'am. We spend the next hour going through intelligence assessments, threat matrices, coordination requirements with SOCOM elements. He's thorough, well-prepared, asks smart questions. Reminds me of myself at that rank. When we finish, I close the folder. Good work. You're ready for the larger brief. Thank you, Colonel. How long have you been in? 6 years, ma'am. Came in through ROTC. Family? Wife and a daughter. 3 years old. I nod. It gets harder before it gets easier. The balance. But it's possible. Did you have to choose, ma'am? Between career and family? It's a bold question, but I respect the courage it took to ask it. I chose the career, I say honestly. Not because family wasn't important, but because this was my calling. Everyone's path is different. He nods, absorbing this. Dismissed, Captain. He leaves, and I turn to my computer. Emails from 3 different agencies, a request for my input on a joint task planning board, a meeting invitation from the deputy director. The work never stops. I've learned to love that about it. My phone buzzes. A text from Maya. Lunch this week? I'm in DC for a conference. I smile and type back, Thursday, 1200. The usual place. She responds with a thumbs up emoji. Some things never change. Maya lives in Denver now. Has for the past decade. She's the VP of marketing for a tech company, travels constantly, makes more money than I ever will. She married Marcus 16 years ago. They have 3 kids, twins who just turned 14 and a 10-year-old. We talk every week. Video calls mostly. She shows me her kids' school projects, complains about corporate politics, asks my advice on things she already knows the answer to. I tell her about the parts of my work I can share, listen to her vent about bad clients, remind her to take vacation days. We've built something real. Something equal. It took years, but we got there. Thursday comes. I leave the Pentagon at 11:45, drive through Georgetown to a small Italian place Maya discovered during her last visit. She's already there when I arrive, sitting at a corner table, scrolling through her phone. She stands when she sees me, and we hug like we always do now, warm, genuine, easy. You look good, she says. Tired, but good. You look exactly the same. Liar. I found 3 new gray hairs this morning. We sit. Order. Fall into the comfortable rhythm of sisters who've learned how to navigate each other. How are the kids? I ask. Chaotic. Emma wants to join the debate team. Ethan wants to quit soccer. Riley wants a puppy. Are you getting a puppy? God, no. Marcus is allergic and I barely have time to feed myself. I laugh. Smart. How's work? Anything you can actually tell me about? Busy. We're coordinating with multiple agencies on a long-term strategic initiative. That's about all I can say. Sounds important. It is. She sips her water. Do you ever think about retiring? Sometimes. I've got 4 years left until I hit 30. After that, I could. But you won't. Probably not. Not yet. Because you love it. Because I'm good at it. And because it still matters. She nods. I get that. I feel the same way about my work now. Took me years, but I finally found something I care about. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you too. She pauses. Actually, that's part of why I wanted to see you. I'm giving a keynote at the conference tomorrow. About leadership and overcoming personal challenges. And I want to talk about you. About us. If you're okay with that. I set down my fork. What about us? About how I almost destroyed our relationship because I couldn't handle your success. About how you setting boundaries saved both of us. About what real strength looks like. Maya, I won't use your name if you don't want. I won't mention specifics about your work. But I want to tell the story. Because it matters. Because other people need to hear it. I think about this. About privacy and exposure and the careful line I've always walked between my public role and my private life. You can use my name, I say finally. But keep the work details vague. Really? Really. If it helps someone else, it's worth it. She reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. Thank you. We finish lunch talking about lighter things, her kids' upcoming summer camp, Marcus's new position as principal, our parents' plan to downsize their house. Normal family stuff. The kind of conversations we never had 15 years ago because everything was too fraught, too unbalanced. As we're leaving, Maya stops me on the sidewalk. I want you to know something. You saved my life. I didn't, you did. Not by rescuing me. By refusing to. By making me face myself. I think about that dinner all the time. How humiliated I was. How angry. And how necessary it was. You did the hard work. I just stepped back. You did more than step back. You held a boundary when everyone was telling you to give in. That's not easy. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry it took me so long to understand. You understand now. That's what matters. We hug again, and she gets in her rental car. I watch her drive away, feeling the warmth of connection without the weight of obligation. That evening, I'm home in my townhouse in Arlington, reviewing briefing materials, when my phone rings. Colonel Dana Whitmore. Retired now for 5 years, but we still talk monthly. Whitmore, I answer, smiling. Carver. How's the Pentagon treating you? Same as always. Bureaucratic and essential. She laughs. I don't miss it. Well, sometimes I miss it. Mostly I miss the people. How's retirement? Busy. I'm consulting for a defense contractor, teaching a graduate course on intelligence strategy, and somehow I'm busier than when I was active duty. That sounds about right. I'm calling because I heard your name come up in a very interesting conversation. Something about a developmental position for 7 candidates. I go still. I haven't heard anything official. You will. Probably in the next month. They're looking for someone with your background for a joint task force command position. If you're selected, you'd be in line for Brigadier General. 7. General Officer. A rank I've thought about but never quite let myself believe in. I don't know if I'm ready for that. You've been ready for years. The question is whether you want it. I do. I think I do. Then prepare yourself. Because if this comes through, your life is about to change again. We talk for another 30 minutes about what general officer life looks like, the sacrifices, the rewards, the responsibility. When we hang up, I sit in silence, processing. Brigadier General. The first star. The culmination of decades of work. I think about the second lieutenant I was at 23, wide-eyed and determined. I think about the captain who learned to navigate operational complexities. The major who finally set boundaries with her sister. The lieutenant colonel who commanded respect through competence rather than volume. I think about all the versions of myself that led here. My phone buzzes. A text from Maya. Killed the keynote. People loved it. Thank you for letting me tell our story. I respond, proud of you. She sends back a heart emoji. I pour myself a glass of wine, stand at my window overlooking the city, and let myself imagine it. General Carver. The responsibility. The opportunity. The weight. I'm ready. The official notification comes 3 weeks later. I'm invited to interview for a developmental position that would prepare me for brigade-level command and potential selection to O7. The interview panel includes 2 major generals and a lieutenant general. The questions are sharp, probing, designed to test strategic thinking and leadership philosophy. Colonel Carver, tell us about a time you had to make an unpopular decision and stick with it. I think about Maya. About that dinner. About the months of family pressure and guilt. I had a family member who was dependent on my support, financial and emotional. For years, I provided that support without question. But eventually, I realized I was enabling destructive patterns rather than helping. I made the decision to step back, to set clear boundaries, despite significant pressure to maintain the status quo. What was the outcome? Short term, it was painful. The relationship fractured. Extended family criticized the decision. But long term, it allowed that family member to develop independence and self-sufficiency. Today, our relationship is healthier and more balanced than it's ever been. How did you know you were making the right choice? I didn't. Not at the time. But I trusted my assessment of the situation and committed to the decision. Leadership isn't always about knowing you're right. Sometimes it's about making the best choice you can with the information you have and seeing it through. The general nods, makes a note. The interview lasts 90 minutes. When I leave, I have no idea how I did. But I know I represented myself honestly. 2 months later, I'm selected. The developmental position comes with a promotion timeline. If I perform well, I'll be on the O7 board in 18 months. I call Maya first, before our parents, before anyone. I got it, I say when she answers. The general thing? The path to it, yeah. She screams. Actual screaming. I have to hold the phone away from my ear. Oh my God. Lisa, this is incredible. It's not a sure thing. I still have to, you'll make it. I know you will. You sound very confident. Because I know you. You're the most competent person I've ever met. They'd be stupid not to promote you. I smile. Thanks, Maya. I'm serious. You've worked your entire life for this. You deserve it. We talk for an hour. She wants to fly out, celebrate, make a big deal of it. I convince her to wait until the actual promotion if it happens. When it happens, she corrects. Not if. When. The next 18 months are the most demanding of my career. The developmental position puts me in direct coordination with 4-star generals, interagency directors, and international partners. I'm responsible for strategic planning across multiple theaters, managing operations I can't discuss with anyone outside my cleared circle. The work is exhausting and exhilarating. I travel constantly, short deployments, strategic meetings, coordination sessions. I sleep in hotels and military quarters, eat meals in SIFs, spend hours in video conferences with time zones I can barely track. Maya texts me regularly. Remember to eat. Drink water. You're doing amazing. Marcus sends pictures of the kids. Our parents call every Sunday, whether I can answer or not. I'm sustained by the work, but also by the knowledge that I have people who care about me without needing me to be anything other than myself. The promotion board meets in March. I won't know the results for months. I continue my work, not allowing myself to hope too much or plan too far ahead. In June, I'm in a planning session when my assistant interrupts. Ma'am, the general needs to see you. I excuse myself, heart pounding. This could be anything. But the timing feels significant. Lieutenant General Morrison is behind her desk when I enter. She gestures for me to sit. Colonel Carver. Congratulations. You've been selected for promotion to Brigadier General. Everything goes quiet. Then loud. Then quiet again. Thank you, ma'am. The ceremony will be in September. You'll assume command of the Joint Intelligence Brigade in October. Any questions? No, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. You earned it, Carver. Don't forget that. I leave her office in a daze. Walk back to my own office, close the door, and just breathe. Brigadier General. I made it. I call Maya before the official announcements, before the congratulatory emails, before anything else. When? She demands. September. I'm coming. All of us. Marcus, the kids, everyone. You don't have to, Lisa. We're coming. This is happening. Accept it. I laugh, tears in my eyes. Okay, you're coming. Damn right we are. The promotion ceremony is held at the Pentagon on a clear September morning. The room is full, colleagues, mentors, subordinates, friends. My parents sit in the front row, both crying before it even starts. Maya sits beside them with Marcus and the kids. The twins look bored. Riley keeps asking when the important part happens. Colonel Whitmore is there, wearing her dress blues even though she's retired. She catches my eye and nods. Lieutenant General Morrison presides. The ceremony is traditional, formal, precise. My accomplishments are read aloud, deployments, awards, positions held. It sounds like someone else's life. Then Maya and Marcus are called forward to pin on my stars. I hadn't known this was happening. I'd assumed it would be Morrison or another senior officer. Maya's hands shake as she pins the first star. I'm so proud of you, she whispers. Marcus pins the second. Thank you for showing my kids what excellence looks like, he says quietly. I swallow hard, fighting to maintain composure. The oath is administered. I repeat the words I've said before, but they mean something different now. More weight. More responsibility. When it's over, people line up to congratulate me. Handshakes, salutes, brief conversations. It takes an hour to get through everyone. Finally, I find my family. Riley hugs my legs. You look fancy, Aunt Lisa. Thank you, Riley. Emma, one of the twins, studies my stars. Does this mean you're really important now? It means I have more responsibility. Ethan, the other twin, looks skeptical. What do you actually do? Maya laughs. Ethan, don't interrogate your aunt at her promotion ceremony. It's okay, I say. I work with people from different parts of the military and government to solve complicated problems and keep people safe. That's vague, Ethan says. It has to be. A lot of what I do is classified. That means secret, Emma explains to Riley. I know what classified means, Riley insists. I catch Maya's eye. She's smiling, eyes bright with tears and pride and joy. Our parents take approximately 1,000 pictures. Marcus coordinates a family photo. Maya stands beside me, not in front, not behind, just beside. Equal. That evening, there's a reception. More handshakes, more congratulations, more conversations about the future. I'm gracious, professional, present. But when it's finally over, when I'm alone in my townhouse with my stars sitting in their case on my desk, I let myself feel it. All of it. The pride. The exhaustion. The satisfaction of a goal achieved through decades of work. The knowledge that I did this myself on my own terms, without compromising who I was. I think about the woman I was at that dinner 15 years ago. Still learning to value herself. Still accepting less than she deserved. I think about the pin Eric recognized. How that moment of truth changed everything. I think about Maya, how she fell apart so she could rebuild herself into someone real. I think about boundaries and consequences and the long road to mutual respect. My phone buzzes. A text from Maya. Today was perfect. You were perfect. I love you. I type back, love you too. Thank you for being there. Always. I set my phone down and look at the stars again. Silver, gleaming, earned. Tomorrow, I'll start the work of commanding a brigade. I'll make decisions that affect hundreds of people. I'll coordinate operations across continents. I'll carry the weight of the rank I've worked my entire adult life to achieve. But tonight, I'm just Lisa. Daughter. Sister. Aunt. Friend. General. All of it. Every version. Every hard choice. Every boundary held. Every consequence accepted. Worth it. Every single piece of it. I pour myself a glass of wine, stand at my window one more time, and toast the city spread out below me. To the journey. To the work. To the relationships that survive because they're built on truth instead of need. To the woman who walked into a dinner party wearing a simple pin and let the chips fall where they would. To the woman who learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to make yourself smaller. To the woman who became a general not despite the hard choices, but because of them. To me. Finally, fully to me. The retirement ceremony is smaller than the promotion ones were. I requested that. 34 years of service deserves dignity, not spectacle. I'm 63 now. Major General, retired as of today. Oh, 8. 2 stars I never imagined when I was that second lieutenant filing paperwork at Lackland. The chapel at Joint Base Andrews holds maybe 100 people. Colleagues, former subordinates, a handful of officers I came up with who are still serving. General Marcus Chin, who I worked with on 3 different continements, flew in from Stuttgart to speak. General Carver doesn't do things halfway, he says during his remarks. When she commits fully. When she leads, people follow. Not because they have to, but because they trust her judgment more than their own doubts. I sit in the front row, dress blues pressed perfect one last time, and try to absorb it. 3 decades. Dozens of deployments. Operations I'll never be able to talk about. Lives saved through intelligence work that will never make headlines. Worth every moment. My family takes up 2 full rows. Maya and Marcus, their 3 kids, all grown now. Emma just finished law school. Ethan's a software engineer in Seattle. Riley's in her 2nd year at the Air Force Academy. That last one still makes me smile. My parents didn't make it to the ceremony. Dad passed 4 years ago, Mom 2 years after. But I feel them here anyway. They'd lived long enough to see me make general. Long enough to know their daughters had found peace with each other. After the ceremony, there's a reception in the officers' club. More handshakes, more stories, more gratitude than I know what to do with. Riley finds me near the dessert table, looking sharp in her cadet uniform. How does it feel? She asks. Surreal. Final. Right. Any regrets? I think about this. Really think about it. No, not about the career. What about the personal stuff? Never getting married, no kids of your own. I smile at her. I have you. And Emma and Ethan. And a career that mattered. That's more than enough. She hugs me. I'm going to make you proud. You already do. Maya appears with champagne. Stop hugging the general, Riley. I've known her longer. Riley laughs and drifts away to talk to some of my former staff officers. Maya and I step out onto the terrace. April in D.C., cherry blossoms just past peak, the evening warm and clear. I can't believe you're actually retired, Maya says. Neither can I. What are you going to do? I have some consulting offers. A think tank wants me part-time. The Air Force asked if I'd teach at the War College. Are you going to? Maybe. Eventually. First, I'm going to sleep for a week. She laughs. You've earned it. We stand in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over the Potomac. Do you remember that dinner? Maya asks suddenly. Which one? You know which one. The one with Eric. Of course I remember. I think about it sometimes. How that was the night everything changed. It was. I was so awful to you. You were hurting. And young. We both were. You were never awful, though. Even when you walked away, you did it with dignity. I turned to look at her. She's 59 now, gray streaking through her dark hair, laugh lines deep around her eyes. She looks happy, settled, real. We both grew up, I say. You grew me up. By refusing to let me stay small. You did the work, Maya. We both did. She's right. We both did. Marcus joins us, carrying cake. Emma's giving a toast. You two need to come inside. We follow him back in. Emma stands at the microphone, poised and confident. I'm not military, she begins. I don't fully understand what my aunt did for 34 years. But I understand impact. I understand dedication. And I understand what it means to show up, day after day, and do work that matters even when no one's watching. She looks at me. Aunt Lisa taught me that success isn't about recognition. It's about integrity. It's about knowing your worth without needing external validation. It's about setting boundaries and keeping them, even when it costs you. My throat tightens. She also taught me, Emma continues, that you can be strong and kind, powerful and humble, successful and still make time for family Sunday dinners on video call from 6 different time zones. People laugh. So here's to General Carver. To my aunt. To a woman who served her country with excellence and her family with grace. We love you. Everyone raises their glasses. I blink back tears, overwhelmed by the fullness of this moment. Later, when the reception winds down and people start to leave, I find myself alone for a moment in the chapel. I stand where I stood during the ceremony, looking at the flags, the symbols of service that have defined my adult life. 34 years. I think about the scared lieutenant who didn't know if she belonged, the captain who found her stride, the major who learned to value herself, the colonel who commanded with confidence, the general who led with wisdom. All versions of me. All necessary. All worth it. There you are. I turn. Riley's in the doorway. Just taking a moment, I say, "Can I join you?" "Of course." She sits beside me in the front pew. "I want what you have," she says quietly. "What's that?" "Peace. Clarity. The knowledge that you did something that mattered. You will. But it takes time. And it takes being willing to make hard choices." "Like what?" "Like knowing when to hold boundaries. When to walk away from situations that diminish you. When to stay and fight for what's right." "How do you know the difference?" "You listen to yourself. Your real self. Not the version that wants to please everyone or avoid conflict. The one that knows your worth." She nods slowly. "Mom told me about what happened with her. Years ago. Before I was born." "Did she?" "She said you saved her by refusing to save her." I smile. That sounds like something she'd say. She said it was the most loving thing you ever did. We saved each other. Just in different ways. Riley leans against my shoulder. "I'm glad you're going to be around more now. For family stuff." "Me too." We sit there as the light fades, aunt and niece, general and cadet, two women at different stages of the same journey. Eventually, we rejoin the family. Maya's coordinating dinner plans, Marcus is wrangling people into cars, the kids are arguing about which restaurant to choose. Normal. Chaotic. Perfect. We end up at an Italian place in Georgetown. The same one Maya and I used to meet at years ago. We fill a long table, 3 generations, loud and laughing and alive. Maya sits beside me, Marcus on her other side. Across from us, their kids debate politics and technology and everything in between. My brother-in-law catches my eye and smiles. "You did good, General," he says. "We all did," I say. After dinner, Maya walks me to my car. "What happens now?" she asks. Now I figure out who I am without the uniform. "You're Lisa. You've always been Lisa." "I know. But it's been a long time since Lisa wasn't also lieutenant, captain, major, colonel, general. She's still in there. Probably glad to have some space to breathe." I hug my sister. "Thank you for being here. For all of it. Where else would I be?" I drive home through quiet streets, still in my dress blues, 2 stars on my shoulders for the last time. Tomorrow, I'll pack up my Pentagon office. I'll sort through 3 decades of memories and files and commendations. I'll turn in my badge and walk out as a civilian for the first time since I was 23. But tonight, I'm still General Carver. And I'm at peace. With my choices. With my life. With the relationships I've built and the boundaries I've held and the work I've done. The pin that started everything, the one Eric recognized 30 years ago, sits in a shadow box in my study. A reminder of the moment truth interrupted comfortable fiction. I look at it sometimes and remember the woman I was. The woman I became. The journey between. It was worth it. Every hard conversation. Every boundary held. Every sacrifice made. Worth it. I change out of my uniform slowly, carefully, folding it one last time. Tomorrow begins a new chapter. Consultant. Teacher. Aunt. Sister. Daughter to parents who live now only in memory. That's my story. And if you've ever had to redraw the lines with someone you love, you know it's never simple and it's never clean. But it is necessary. Before you go, tell me in the comments, have you ever had a family member underestimate you? Did a moment ever expose the truth the way that dinner did for me? And did setting boundaries make things better or push them further away? I want to hear your experiences. If this story resonated with you, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear that reclaiming your worth isn't selfish, it's survival.